This is Andrea Askowitz of Writing Class Radio. Our submission period is now open. Send us your best personal story, 1,200 to 1,500 words on any topic. Please check our submission guidelines at writingclassradio.com. We pay.
I'm Allison Langer.
And I'm Andrea Askowitz. This is Writing Class Radio. You'll hear true personal stories and learn a little bit about how to write your own stories. Together, we produce this podcast, which is equal parts heart and art. By heart, we mean the truth in a story. By art, we mean the craft of writing. No matter what's going on in our lives, writing class is where we tell the truth. It's where we work out our shit. There's no place in the world like writing class, and we want to bring you in. All right, so you asked me to write to the prompt, Goodbye 2020. And I didn't do it.
What?
I started it. And I did actually a half hour on Goodbye 2020. And what happened is I went down a road of a lot of things that I want to talk to you about because I think they're worth talking about. But none of the stuff that I wrote was worth writing about because in 2020, I had a really hard year and continuing to have a hard year because my daughter is depressed. But I'm not ready to write about it. I'm not there yet. I can write about it in my journal. I can write about it in class, but I'm not ready to write an essay about being a mom of a kid who's severely depressed. And so everything else I wrote was just not important. It just wasn't true. It just wasn't worthy. So I didn't do it.
I get it. I do. But there was nothing else you could write about? Or you just can't think of anything except that, and so everything else paling in comparison, so you just feel like it's ineffective and unnecessary.
Yeah. And every time I started over or kept going, it kept leading back to the specific details of what was happening in 2020 around my daughter. There are a few other things that I was thinking about, like, so everybody in 2020, it feels to me like there's like a whole world of conversation where people on social media, people that I talk to, Vicky, like I don't talk to anybody except my wife and she's like, 2020, like fuck 2020. Like everyone's saying the exact same things about 2020. And one of the things that it brought up for me is like how annoying it is and cliche it becomes when everyone starts saying the same thing. And I don't know why, but that really bothers me. I've been like irked by especially writers who I think of as people who are creative with language using the exact same language as every other writer. The other thing I would have written about if I was going to avoid my real story, and then I want to get into your story because I know you did write a story. But the other thing I wondered about is, so you know how everyone's saying 2020, like 2020 was cursed. But was 2020 cursed because of the year, because of the way the stars and the moon aligned? Is there something to that? Do you think?
Oh, gosh. I mean, you're asking me this question? You're a person who doesn't believe this.
I know. Well, I don't know. I'm not a believer, but I'm also not a not believer. So that's why I'm asking. Because at first that was another thing that was making me roll my eyes. But then I started thinking, well, what do I know? Maybe 2020, the year 2020, maybe there is something that Nostradamus would have forecasted because of the way the moon and the stars were going to align or disalign or malalign.
Well, I actually think it sort of segues into my piece a little bit by asking, why is this happening to us? And I feel like I should just read maybe because I've asked myself that same question, and I think it's universal because no one really understands why anything happens. But I am, and this isn't gonna like reveal anything, but I do believe we only have control over so many things, and that certain things are just meant to happen, and we have to go through them in this lifetime. Otherwise, we keep trying to learn what we're supposed to learn. Because what else is life about? We go from point A to point B and you learn nothing. It's about conquering our problems and our, all the things that we didn't get to in our last lifetime, in my opinion. And I don't want to live this life again. I mean, I have a pretty good life. I mean, I'm not complaining about my life, but I've gone through a lot of shit. And I, every time I say that, I have no idea what everyone goes through. Right. So we can only know what we go through, what the people around us go through, but many people in this world suffer and we have no idea the extent of their suffer. So this comment is not meant to belittle anybody else's suffering, but I feel as if I've had some big, big challenges and lots of loss and I don't know why. And I do ask myself that question and I really don't have an answer except that it's maybe our process in this world, we just have to go through it.
So that leads you to your essay?
It does. I've been working on it. I wrote it in my first draft class. And then my second first draft class, like the next following week when I gave a new prompt, I worked on this one again. Because I feel like the only time I'm actually working and writing right now is when I'm in a class. Thank God for the class, because it gives me 30 minutes or an hour just to focus on how I'm actually feeling, and it nurtures me just to get it out. So I'm so grateful to my class.
So Allison is talking about First Draft, which is one of the classes that Writing Class Radio provides. It's every Tuesday at noon Eastern time. It's $25 a month. It's every Tuesday for 1 hour, which comes to $6.25 a class. It's so great for the money. And it's so great because it's a great community. So you just write to a prompt and then 3 people get to share what they wrote. To join, go to writingclassradio.com.
Wow, thanks.
Boom!
Thanks for the plug. That was so good of you. Is this what you mean when you say I'm really bad at plugging myself? Because you're really good.
The worst. Allison with her essay, back after the break.
For anyone interested in improving your writing, First Draft, Weekly's Writers Group, is for you. It's Tuesdays, 12 to 1 Eastern Time. It's a community. We come together to write for 30 minutes, share what we wrote, get feedback, and leave inspired.
First session, always free.
Otherwise, $35 a month. That gives you 8 full sessions a month. If you are interested in joining First Draft, jump on Patreon/Writing Class Radio.
A famous writer called Allison Langer once said, "You'll never know how great your writing is unless you share it at First Draft."
I love when you quote me.
We're back. This is Andrea Askowitz, and you're listening to Writing Class Radio. Here is Allison Langer with her story, Bye Bye 2020.
This has been a crazy year for everyone. For me, after 2019, I needed a much different year. In 2019, I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer and endured 4 months of chemo, monthly blood tests, and extreme fatigue. January 9th was my last infusion and the beginning of a new chapter. I was sure 2020 would be my year. I would get back into the gym, re-enter the world, and get on with living. I was determined to kick cancer's ass, and despite 1 cheese doodle-sized tumor remaining, I did. An oral estrogen blocker ate that cheese doodle right up. By June, I had gotten the all clear and was sheltering in place with my family, my writing, and my tutoring gigs. I was content, happy even. A few days later, my dad walked into my office and sat down with a sullen look on his face. A normally upbeat guy and rarely a midday visitor, I knew something was up. "What's wrong?" I asked. My sweet 83-year-old, golf-obsessed Republican dad grimaced as he touched his left ear. He explained how the ear, nose, and throat doctor had given him an antibiotic for the pain a few months back. They thought it might be an ear infection, he said, but when the pain hadn't subsided, they did a biopsy. I could feel my teeth press together and my neck lock as I tried to remain emotionless. Where you place your energy is where you place your thoughts. A mantra I'd been saying to get me through cancer and to help me see a positive future. The mantra played on repeat as my brain lasered in on my dad's eyes. I begged for a thread, a filament, a tiny speck of hope. Please don't say the C word. My dad fidgeted in his seat, then said, "Turns out it's cancer." I stared at him, remembering what it felt like that day in the car when my gynecologist told me my ultrasound showed irregular cells. that the CA-125 blood test came back high, an indicator of ovarian cancer. She said, "You might have cancer." A strange calm numbed my brain. My face melted into my neck and my heart stabbed me. Why me? I thought about my children. Would I make it to their weddings? At 14, 12, and 9, I didn't see it. My youngest son was in the back seat. I just picked him up from summer camp and was taking him directly to the barbershop. I stood outside staring at the slow-moving clouds on the otherwise sunny Miami day. I felt sweat drip from my underarms, my tank top ineffective for handling this news. I called Justine, my friend who refers cancer patients to the appropriate doctors. "What do I do?" I said, and started to cry. My dad tried to play it off like his diagnosis was nothing. "The doctor said it's really small, if it's even anything. A little chemo and radiation, and I'll be good as new." Good as new, I thought, if the treatment doesn't kill you. At 51, chemotherapy flattened me. Most days were a struggle to not throw up and to even get out of bed. I lost my long, blonde, wavy hair, and I lost my independence. I was angry. I couldn't understand why this was happening to me. I'd eaten well, exercised, and occasionally went to yoga. Throughout my treatment, I didn't want help, but I needed help. My dad picked up my kids from school, took them out for dinner, and ran them across the city for sports or hangouts with their friends. My girlfriends, I call them my elephants because they gathered around me when I was vulnerable, like elephants in the wild. My elephants took me to chemo, researched cancer trials, and dropped off food for my family. I know seeing me so helpless took a toll on my friends and my dad. My dad came by every day worried, just wanting to know if I was okay. "How's Mom?" he'd ask my kids as he plopped onto the couch for a nap. I could hear him from my bedroom upstairs and was annoyed he'd just awakened me. For 4 months, I'd hear the TV click onto Fox News and want to scream. "Will everyone just leave me alone?" My diagnosis came 5 years after losing a boyfriend, a dog, and a child. I'd had children with an anonymous sperm donor starting when I was 36, so my children didn't have a dad. If I died, my kids would be orphans. My dad would want to take them, but caring for them full-time would be too much. Because of that, I refused to wallow in why me. I started meditating, looked to gurus like Joe Dispenza and Deepak Chopra. I got weekly massages, started acupuncture therapy, and tried every new age beat cancer diet. I listened to health podcasts and read all the cancer survival memoirs I could find. I spoke to a shrink once a week so I could work out my shit. Losing so many people so quickly had affected me in ways I've only just become aware of. Ways like being unable to open my heart, feel loved, let go of the past. By 2020, I was determined to make getting cancer a good thing for me and for those around me. I was determined to live. When I looked into my dad's eyes, I did not see the same fight in him. I knew from his hip surgery 3 years earlier and his colon surgery a year after that my dad was not about to go vegan like I had. He wasn't about to hit the gym, take long walks, and start meditating. He trusted his oncologist and believed chemo and radiation would not be a big deal. I knew an 83-year-old body would never be able to handle the poison, and I told him. He let me speak. He never argued. Then he did what he wanted. I did what I wanted too, and I could tell it was hard on my girlfriends when I didn't like their opinion of which doctor I should choose or if I should have another surgery. I went with my gut. It was my fight, and I did what felt right to me. Now it was my dad's turn to fight, and I had to let him do it his way. Still, I fought the old familiar thought, why is this happening to me, to him, to us? It felt like another test or a jab, like, okay, good for you. You survived cancer, but look what I'm throwing your way now. Deal with that, bitch. It's December now. That June conversation in my office was 6 crazy months ago. Crazier is that while I write this, I can hear my dad watching Fox News in the next room. He's walking by himself and has started to eat half a scrambled egg in the morning. A month ago, I signed the hospice papers, and my kids and I said goodbye. My dad lay in a hospital bed, pale and skinny, with a severe blood infection and possible pneumonia. The palliative care doctor said, at 83, he's just not likely to pull out of this. I texted my brother in Rome, Italy. I'd get on a plane if I were you. He didn't. I know other events, positive and negative, happened in 2020, but right now I'm struggling to remember them. Let's see. I gave up on editing my manuscript while I focus on keeping my dad alive. Occasionally, I play pickleball where I laugh and feel human again. Sometimes I get 30 minutes to walk around the block, and just the other day, I actually went to the gym where I attempted to salvage the muscle I have left. Andrea has been doing all the work to get podcast episodes out. I recently learned that while you're in survival mode, it's impossible to create. Joe Dispenza said that. I listened to him on my walk this morning. My writing classes have been flexible when my dad spikes a fever or has a bout of high blood pressure or the feeding tube slips out and we have to go back to the emergency room. My elephants took over carpool, ran my son to art class and my daughter to her friends. Many have dropped off food. 2020 has taken many parents of my close friends, some of them younger than my dad. Those losses and the craziness of the last 6 months in my own cancer journey have proven to me how fragile life is. I have learned that today is all I might have, so I make sure to spend it with those I love, doing the things that make life great. Some days that's not so easy, but at least I can say I understand why now. I needed to get here.
Are you saying that you understand the reason that your dad got cancer?
I just, maybe, I didn't really think of it like that. I just understand why. I guess I was thinking more selfishly, like what, because I feel like I've gone through this with him. Like he went through pure hell, but I was right there going through hell all over again. Cleaning up after him, feeding him, getting his tube, changing my schedule. Like I've become a full-time nurse, and bookkeeper and, everything. I feel like I've taken it personally, another personal jab of see if you can get through this. What do you need to learn from this? I feel like maybe I didn't learn the full lesson when I had cancer. I sort of just was like kind of back to my own schedule. A modified schedule, but I was sort of back on my same wavelength, even though I was trying really hard to get off of it. I don't know. Everything had to stop when this happened and he needed me and he was in the hospital and all that kind of stuff. And I just had to spend every second there trying to figure out his life. And if he was going to die, how was I going to figure it out too? So I spent the entire time there. So I guess, yes, I do think these things happen and for a reason, either to bring us together or for me to learn something else. So do I need to make that clear in the piece?
Maybe. I mean, that was the takeaway that I got from the very last line.
Yeah.
I mean, wow. I think it's interesting on so many levels because the why now is like, why are you writing this story now? Why is this happening to us now as a world? And why did this happen to me now? You went through this whole thing with your dad. And also you said, what are we doing? What is life for? Other than to like teach us lessons that we aren't learning. If that's what your story is about, then I think that's super interesting.
Okay, but don't give me all the positives. I want to hear like what can make it better. Because should I submit this? Do you think somebody would take it if we put it on the podcast?
Oh, so you do want feedback then?
Yeah, so, go ahead. Give me feedback for sure.
Okay, excellent. Well, one thing I want to say is that I wasn't set up it was a surprise ending. And I don't know that, I think that we would need, or you would need to like drop some seeds, like plant some seeds that this story is about learning a lesson. That came out of nowhere in the story. I knew it because of what we discussed before the story. So from the very beginning, it was a crazy year for everybody. I wanted to know that in January 9th, 2020, I just wanted to hear the date. That was your last infusion. So we're starting a new year. The cheese doodle, excellent. The description of your dad, the neck lock, really nice. Like that's such a hard thing to describe. Where you put your energy is where I wasn't able to understand that quote.
Yeah, I think I fucked that up.
Yeah, I think you did. But also maybe that's where you have to plant a seed about learning something. Get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. I want to know that it has something to do with learning. Oh my God. The moment where you moved from your dad's saying the word cancer, and then the moment where you learned that you had cancer was freaking gorgeous and sad. The sweating and the tank top that wasn't able to handle that occasion, that I just thought was so well put. Maybe more about how chemo flattened you, and how you must have thought that in that moment that you were going to change, that your life was going to change. It had to. So there's another place to drop that seed. Yeah, that's a perfect place to drop it, because you had to then rely on other people. You lost your independence. You lost your hair, your independence. Excellent. So I would slow down here, because this is big. So you lost a boyfriend, a dog, a child. And then there's this moment where you're learning now that you are having trouble feeling love and letting go of the past. So that's what this whole story is about. Learning how to feel love and let go of the past. I want to know a little bit more about the past, but more about trying to learn a lesson so that you can move forward with, right? That's what you're trying to do, is become someone who can feel love and let go of the past. Right? I hope I'm not putting ideas that aren't true into you, but that's what I think, where I thought you were going. Get past the stuff that you are only now realizing because of therapy after cancer. So those two things were the challenges that the cancer was the challenge that brought you the therapy that is revealing the things that you want to change. Okay. It's really interesting that you followed your gut. Like, everybody has to do shit their way. And I thought that was related, because it's all about learning. Okay. When you texted your brother, I'd get on a plane. I would leave it at that. I wouldn't say he didn't come, because then I'm like, what? Why not? Oh my God. Basically, the message there is, this is it. I mean, when I heard you say, my kids and I said goodbye, I was, and maybe spend a tiny bit more time there, but it's really not about your dad dying, and your dad didn't die, but still, that was a beautiful moment. And then you get to the very end, which is, okay, I needed to learn this shit twice. I needed to go through this twice. Beautiful.
Thanks. That's super helpful.
I mean, it makes it seem like you're a little dense.
Why? Oh, because I didn't learn.
We all are.
I mean, do a survey of cancer patients. I mean, the ones that I know that I've talked to, they went right back to their life. Same shit. I mean, it's very difficult to change unless we make a conscious full-time effort to change. And it's the problem is nobody around you is also changing. They're the same. So it's hard to exist in a life, but I'll say, like, a lot of times now I see people, and how I was, like, you would always tell me you need to get out of high school, because I'd be like, I don't like her. She's fat. She's skinny. She's this. She's that.
And you judged.
Yes, I judged everybody. And now
but you're not anymore.
No. I mean, now people that I see, I mean, once I get to know who they are inside, I'm very drawn to people. And I just feel like I stop judging people so much, because I just don't know what they're going through, and I just don't know what they've been through, and I just don't know how, like, they're good people inside. Like, we are not our bodies, our exterior body, and I'm learning that. I'm not, so it's taken a long time and I needed it. So I see, and you talk to other cancer patients who, when they get to the end and they're living their life, they go, oh my God, I can see why this happened. There's a reason why things happen. And instead of asking why me, we have to start looking at, like, well, why not me? Maybe this is what I need to learn. And so to keep moving forward.
Of course, me, now I can move forward in a new, better way. Maybe that's the way to think. You know what it made me just think about also is, so you went through cancer twice. So we all thought that the pandemic, the lockdown was going to be 2 weeks. And then, right. And then we thought, okay, well, maybe it's going to be a month or two. And it's going on a year. And maybe that's the thing. Like, is the world going to change we probably need a lot more time to learn the lesson that like traveling across the world back and forth is bad for the environment, and driving everywhere and moving around. This is a huge, 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 huge world lesson. Will we change? I hope so. I mean, your experience is a kind of a micro experience that the whole world is experiencing. I love your story.
Thanks.
Thinking about it like that. And I'm so sorry that you've dealt with fucking cancer twice.
And I'm sorry that life is going in the directions it's going in, just to try to figure out how to benefit from that direction. You know, I mean, that's all we can do, just to be there to support the people that we love and keep moving forward in the best way possible.
Damn. Well, the other thing you said, and let's just like end with this, is that chemo didn't save your dad. You saved your dad. And I know you did, because I know that you were sitting there watching him and feeding him through his tube every few hours. And when he got a fever, you knew about it. You saved your dad's life.
You know what saved him is having somebody love him and just be there. And I think that's the hardest thing for us. And that's all any of us really want. That's it. So I think personal connection, sharing stories, sharing our lives, sharing our love, and just telling people that you love them. That's what's important.
Beautiful.
I love you.
I love you too. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Allison, for your story. This episode of Writing Class Radio is produced by Virginia Laura, Allison Langer, and me, Andrea Askowitz. Social media content by Mia Pennekamp. Theme music by The Amadians. Additional music by Paddington Bear. There's more writing class on our website, writingclassradio.com, including video classes, stories to study, and editing resources. If you love the show and enjoy all the extras on our website, hit the support us button. And check out the writing classes and publishing insight we are giving our Patreon supporters. $10 a month gets you an all-access pass to me. I'll answer all your publishing questions. So if you are out there and you don't know where to submit your stories, become a Patreon supporter and you get to talk to me about it. I mean, come on, it's really hard to figure it out.
It is, man.
For $25 a month, you get a writing class a week with Allison. Classes are on Tuesdays from 12 to 1 Eastern via Zoom, so you can join from anywhere in the world. We write to a prompt and share what we wrote.
I also want to say that for that $25, that includes your $10 a month. So for the $25, you're getting the class and the access pass. So it's a pretty sweet deal.
A new episode will drop every other Wednesday, so listen for us. There's no better way to understand ourselves and each other than by writing and sharing our stories. Everyone has a story. What's yours?
Adios to 2020.
Adios.
Fun fact, in the spectrum that is 2S LGBTQ+, there are more B people than all the other letters combined. Whether you touch the rainbow, taste the rainbow, or simply acknowledge it, the bi bulge is 60% and growing. Formerly the Blue Hotel, and on the heels of Being Bi the book, the Being Bi podcast is about relationships, including the ones we have with ourselves. Whether you're straight, bi, gay, trans, or just love a sizzling erotic story. I'm your host, Jeff Woods. Follow the Being Bi podcast on Apple or Spotify. More at beingbi.com.